Okay, friends, time for chapter 4 of Double Fudge. I keep forgetting the name of this book. I don't know why. It's not one I've read very many times. So this chapter is called Richie Richest. I admit I was worried about my first day of 7th grade. I wondered if I'd be considered a new kid because I wasn't there last year to start middle school with everyone else. But how can you be a new kid when you've only missed 1 year? I'd be more like a new old kid, wouldn't I? I mean, I wouldn't know everyone at middle school, but I'd know all the kids who'd been in 5th grade with me, and I'd still have the same best friend. Fudge didn't seem at all worried about starting a new school. He and Melissa skipped all the way there. I wish Jimmy still lived in our building so we could walk to school together. Instead, I walked with Sheila Tubman. Not that I wanted to, but what choice did I have? We went down the elevator together. It would have been rude to cross the street just to avoid her, right? I was still hoping we wouldn't be in the same homeroom or any of the same classes. The bad news is, Sheila's in my homeroom. She's in my science class and Spanish too, but I'm trying to keep a positive attitude like Mom said. The good news is Jimmy's also in my homeroom, and better yet, in my humanities section. We even have the same lunch period, and nobody at school acted like I was a new kid. Most kids either didn't remember I lived someplace else last year or didn't care. After school, Jimmy came over, same as always. I told him about Melissa and her mother and how Henry painted the apartment and fixed up the kitchen. They got a new refrigerator, I said, expecting Jimmy to laugh and make some joke about salami and onion sandwiches, but he didn't. We hung out in the park for a while at the top of our special rock. Then, just like that, Jimmy said he had to go home. I forgot for a minute he'd moved, that he lived downtown now, that he had to take the subway home by himself. I walked him to Central Park West and 72nd Street. Jimmy and I have been best friends since 3rd grade. He lived around the corner then. It was the first place in the city I was allowed to walk by myself. I really liked Jimmy's mom. She told me to call her Anita, not Mrs. Fargo. We had this special game. Every time I left her house, she gave me a graham cracker in case I got hungry on the way home. That was a big joke since it took about 2 minutes to get to my building. I was so mad at her when she took off for Vermont, leaving Jimmy with his dad. But then I was happy when Jimmy and his dad moved into our building. Then I was mad at her again because Jimmy was. Jimmy still doesn't like to talk about the divorce or his mother. He keeps everything to himself. He visits her at Christmas and for a month in the summer. I hope I never see her again because if I do, I'll tell her exactly what I think about what she did to Jimmy. And don't tell me there are 2 sides to every story like Mom does because I've seen Jimmy's side up close. Not that I want him to move to Vermont. That would be a lot worse than Soho. I'd never get to see him then. Now I know how he felt when I left the city last year. I watched as Jimmy disappeared down the stairs into the subway station. I wonder when Mom and Dad will let me take the subway to Soho on my own. That night at dinner, Fudge went on and on about his first day of school. I have 2 teachers in my room, William and Polly, and a library helper. That makes 3. You need 3 teachers, I said, maybe more. 'Cause I'm smart, right? Oh, yeah, they don't come any smarter than you. How many teachers do you have, Pete? A different one every hour. Wow, you're really smart. Dad said, when you're in 7th grade, you'll have as many teachers as Peter. My library helper comes 2 times every week, Fudge said. He's 17. Next year, he's going to college. Know what his name is? Jonathan Girdle. I laughed and said, you probably got that wrong, turkey brain. Peter, Mom said, what did we discuss last night? I don't know. Self-esteem, Mom said. Don't you remember? What's that got to do with? I stopped before I finished. Was she talking about me calling Fudge turkey brain? Mom nodded like she could read my mind. But Fudge didn't pay any attention. He went on as if he were the only one at the table. Jonathan told us some people think his name is funny, so I told him some people think my name is funny. Then this girl named Rebecca Noodle said a lot of people think her name is funny. Then Pluto Stevenson said everybody thinks his name is funny. Pluto, I said? Yeah, Pluto, but he's not my new best friend. My new best friend is... Wait a minute, I said, interrupting. 1 day of school and you have a new best friend? Yeah, Pete, I do. I have to hand it to Fudge. He always manages to find a friend. He never worries like I do when I go someplace new, that maybe no one will like him. Guess what my new best friend's name is? Fudge asked later that night. I was at my desk. I just finished my math homework and was about to start on Spanish. We're having a vocabulary quiz on Friday. I'm doing my homework, I told him. You're not supposed to bother me while I'm studying, and you're supposed to knock if my door is closed. Fudge and I each have half a bedroom. There's a divider wall with shelves between us, but we each have our own doors to the hallway. I brought you a rice cake, Fudge said in his best little boy in the world voice. He held it out to me. He's the one who loves rice cakes, not me. They make me gag. They're like eating cardboard. I don't want a rice cake, I told him. You know how I feel about rice cakes. Anyway, aren't you supposed to be in bed? I can't go to bed until you guess, he said, nibbling at the rice cake himself. Okay, what am I supposed to guess this time? Pay attention, Pete, he said. You're supposed to guess my new friend's name. Well, if you want me to guess, you have to give me a clue, I told him. Okay, his first name is what I want to be when I grow up. King, I guessed. Wrong. President? Very funny, Pete. Try again. Let's see. I pretended to think about it. Oh, I've got it. Miser? No. He shoved half of the rice cake into his mouth at once. It's Rich. He waited for my reaction. When I didn't say anything, he repeated, his name is Rich. Get it, Pete? It's what I want to be when I grow up. When I still didn't say anything, he added, we call him Richie, and his last name is even better. Here's a clue. He's related to someone very famous, someone we know. He stuffed the rest of the rice cake into his mouth and brushed off his hands. The crumbs landed on my living Spanish textbook. I don't know anyone really famous. Yeah, you do. I give up. Fudge whispered in my ear, he's you-know-who's cousin. We've been through this before, I told him, wiping off my ear. Harry Potter isn't real. But before I could finish, Fudge spit on the back of his hand 3 times. You said his name out loud. You have to spit 3 times or something terrible will happen. Hurry! He spit on the back of his other hand. I don't know why Fudge thinks you're not supposed to say the name Harry Potter out loud, but he does. It's some kind of magic he invented. I knew he was too young to listen to the book on tape, but Mom and Dad played it anyway, driving back from summer vacation. To tell the truth, it's easier to spit than argue with him, so I did. 3 times on the back of my hand. Whew, Fudge said, that was a close one. I hate to break it to you, I told him, but Potter's a common name. I know at least 2 kids at school whose last name is Potter. It doesn't mean anything. You are so wrong, Pete. Uncle Feather agreed with Fudge. You are so wrong, Pete. So wrong, wrong. Cover Birdbrain's cage, will you? I said. I can't concentrate on my homework with him yakking. Yak, Uncle Feather said. I reached for my headset and turned up the volume. Sometimes I wonder how I ever survived without it.